Hi, I'm Kathy Mills from Short Film Edits, and I'm here with Declan Clifford for an interview today. How are you?
I'm very excited to be talking to you.
Oh, thank you. Can we start this off with you telling us a little bit about you?
Sure. Well, I'm Declan Clifford. I am a Tassie boy. I moved to LA about a year and a half ago to keep pursuing my dreams of acting, but I'm a little Aussie boy in LA. Grew up in Tassie. I studied law before I got into acting, so I think something most people don't know about me is that I had a full career before I got into this. So I did the full degree. I started off in a private practice law firm, had the suit and tie, went to court, did all of that, and I was always very interested in acting as a kid, but I'm not sure if people listening to this can relate, but sometimes you feel like your dreams are really silly, and sometimes
Mm.
you can listen to that voice. And I just did for so long. I just felt like what I want to do is silly. Like I have to do something sensible. I have to, be responsible. And so I ended up getting into a career that, I didn't feel passionate about and I didn't love. And it wasn't until I actually had a chat with one of the partners of the law firm that I was working at, and he was basically pushing me to go pursue my creative instincts. He shared with me at that time that he always wanted to be an actor as well, but his parents threatened to cut him off if he pursued what he wanted to do instead of getting a sensible degree. So here he was, my senior partner of my law firm, sitting down with me at, I think I was 24 at the time, maybe 23, and he was like, go, go do the thing. So moved to Melbourne from Tassie, and that's when when I first got to Melbourne, I was exploring lots of different stuff. I was going into like fashion and modeling, and then I was going into like photography, and then somehow met my partner and somehow landed myself into acting. And I was like, I really want to explore this again. And I went to a class and I just fell in love with it. And once you get the bug for something like that, once you find something that like really resonates with you, you get addicted to it. So basically since then, classes led to more classes, and that led to short films, and then that led to plays, and plays led to a movie, and that led to a television pilot. And then by this point, my partner Riley was like, I think I want to move to the US. And we're over here, and now we're in the vertical world because that's like popping off over here.
Yeah.
So, that's like a very condensed version of my 20 years of law going from Tasmania to Melbourne, from law to verticals, which is, I guess, what we're kind of here chatting about today.
Yeah, that's a like law is not an easy profession to get into either. There's a lot of work and study that goes into that. So you
Yeah.
put a lot of work into something that you weren't extremely passionate about. So,
Yeah. And I kind of skated through it, you know, by the skin of my teeth, so to speak. I was never like on the borderline of failing, but God, it makes me realize like when you are able to invest your time and energy and your skills into something you really care about, that's when magic can happen. But I think
yeah.
with Laura, I was sort of dragging myself to the table, and
Mm.
there were interesting parts of it to be sure, but it's a
Yeah.
whole lifestyle and it's a whole energy, and I think you got to really love what you do, or find some area you connect with it. And just for me, I just felt like, I would really regret it if I didn't pursue acting and if I didn't go with what was in my heart. But yeah, it did take a lot of work. There was a lot of sleepless nights preparing
Yeah.
for those exams, and I'm glad I have it. It was a
Yeah.
great, great life experience. Taught me to work hard and be really disciplined, and I think that's something that I can bring to my work now as an actor as well. So it's not completely wasted in that respect
No.
either.
No, that's good. When you said you were from Tassie, my dad and my stepmom just went to Tasmania and they travelled and camped for a year and a half through Tasmania.
A
Yeah,
year and a half.
a year and a
What?
half. Yeah, I didn't see
Such
him
a
for like
small
nearly two
island.
years. Yeah,
What?
yeah. They just
I
went
mean, they must have
camping.
stayed for a long time each spot.
Yeah, they just went through the middle of the bush, just went camping and just stayed there for a long time. So,
Wow. They well,
yeah.
I hope they liked it,
They
maybe.
do, they love it. They've done it twice now. So, Yeah, they just disappear for a couple of years.
Oh, have you ever been down there?
No, not yet. No, it's a bit cold for me.
It's true. It's true. We are very close to Antarctica.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Perth can get too hot sometimes, so maybe I should go to Tassie in summer.
Exactly. You'll even out. You'll even
Yeah,
out. I do miss like when it snows on the mountain there
yeah,
because it's so pretty and like sometimes we will get snow like in the city itself, like
yeah.
in the suburbs, which is really pretty. And like I
Maybe I
miss
should
that.
do that. I've never seen
Yeah,
snow, so maybe I should do that to see snow.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay. What initially drew you to verticals and what keeps you here?
So my first vertical that I did, I didn't know it was a vertical. I didn't know what that was. The way it was advertised was like a fantasy romance series, right? I think if I remember the casting call, it was something along the lines of, fantasy werewolf series, romance elements. And I was like, this sounds really cool. Like, what is this? And
Mm,
my thought was that it would be an independently produced series that would might maybe go on YouTube or something. Because
mm,
that's, if something isn't picked up by a major distributor like Netflix or Disney,
mm,
sometimes people self-release stuff. And I had just done a television pilot where we had done the exact same thing. We'd filmed it. They'd invested a sum of money into a proof of concept, an hour-long proof of concept, and we didn't have distribution attached, but the idea was to make it. So I thought it could be like
mm,
that. Then the audition request came through and it was from like a school email address. And I
mm,
was like, is this a student film? And at that point, I was like, I don't really want to do this because I don't, I'd been down that road and I'd sort of got a bit further along in my career. I didn't really want to go back into a student film at that time. But the producer reached out and was like, no, our director really wants to meet with you. I was like, okay. So I went to the audition and I auditioned for the alpha character and the beta character. And the first one I did, my personal liking king, it was really good because each of the characters had their own standalone story. It didn't fit the existing trope of a lot of verticals that I now see. There were no slaps, no banquets, no humiliation, and each of the characters really had their own independent arc, which was great. So
love that.
was very different from a lot of verticals.
Mm,
And anyway, I ended up being cast as Daniel, Beta Daniel. And then what happened was the most magical 10 days of my life. Like we filmed this epic series. It was fantasy. There was fireballs, there was transformations. It really lent into the werewolf. We were in college as well, so it had a college feel and theme to it.
mm,
And it was the first vertical for everyone there. So we just felt like we were filming like a mini movie. And
yeah.
everyone was so incredible and like incredible actors. And we just had the most amazing experience. And it was only when we were on set that I understood, oh, we're actually filming this vertically for the phone and it's being released on an app. Because we were like, where is this going to be released? And they were like, oh, on this app, Shortmax. And we were like, okay, what's that? And then we started
Mm,
looking. And
yeah.
I remember when I was like looking at what it was, Shortmax, and trying to understand, I saw Seth Dean's show. He had
Yeah.
done like I think a werewolf one for Shortmax. And I was like, okay, I think I kind of get it now. So I watched
Yeah.
that as a bit of a reference. And so it was really that experience that kept me hooked into verticals because the filming was so incredible. And so we finished filming that. And then after we wrapped that, I moved to LA a couple months after that. And then I saw a casting call in LA for the same company, Shortmax, but this time it was a medical drama called Scrubs Heartbeat. And that was
Mm,
my second vertical. And I did that with Tiffany Alvord and Adam Wesley. Again, Adam had done one. It was Tiffany's first, and I had done one. So we were still very new, and we very much just treated it like a movie.
yeah.
Um, and every experience was just incredible. And I was very lucky straight out of the bat. I got to play these really interesting characters. In Lion King, I was a hopeless romantic, and I would have done anything for her. And in fact, my character ended up taking a fireball for her, and it was beautiful and romantic. And then in Scrub's Heartbeat, I got to play my first kind of villain where obsession turns to um, something a bit dangerous, and
Yeah.
I ended up sabotaging Tiffany's character. And so that was a really fun, interesting thing for me to play. I'd never played a villain. I've always been cast as the good guy.
Yeah.
And it sort of has evolved from there. And after Scrub's Heartbeat, I did Faded to Miss with Ethan and Kira Wisely. And so I guess to answer your question in a long roundabout way, what hooked me in and kept me in were these incredible actors. And I
Yeah,
was
they're
like, are you
great.
kidding me? Where you can be on set regularly working with incredible actors telling fun, high elevated stories. And I was very lucky that those first verticals I did weren't very vertically. They
Yeah.
have some of the tropes that we might now consider as how we want to move on from that. It wasn't until
Yeah.
about my fourth or fifth that I landed myself in a conventional vertical, and I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
see. I see there's a difference. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
so those are the stories we're kind of trying to weed out, and we're trying to get to the good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely took a turn for you there, didn't they?
Yeah, round 4 or 5, it definitely it took a turn, but it's all experience, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, even in those verticals, even though we don't want to see it as much, you still learn something different as an actor while doing those things. Everything is like a teaching moment still. So,
Totally, totally. I, I think I think every experience as an actor is really good. I heard Michael Caine talking about this, and he was talking about like turning down roles, and he was like, I would rather be working consistently, even if I'm doing roles that I might not necessarily want to do, because the muscle of just that muscle of putting yourself in those positions as much as you can, I think is really good. I know when I've taken time off set, I always feel like a bit nervous going back because I'm like,
mm,
oh, can I do this? Like,
yeah. Yeah, because it's not a regular thing because you've taken a break. It's saying even though I take a little break from these interviews of a certain like couple of days a week,
yeah,
even though it's only a couple of days, I step back into the first one. I'm like,
yeah,
but it's
how do I do
yeah,
this? But I
I
bet
get
by
it.
number 3 of the day, you're like, oh, I'm cooking with gas. Like,
Exactly. You just get back into the pace, but I'm like, I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, I feel
Yeah.
that. I feel that.
Okay. You played a wide range of roles. Which genre do you feel more comfortable in?
Mm. Look, in my bones, I always feel more comfortable and at home in the characters that are a little bit quirky. They're they're a little more they're not like I never feel comfortable. Not that I have necessarily played this character, but I feel very comfortable in the characters that are cute, a little bit nerdy, they're quirky, because that's very much my energy. Like I'm,
Yeah.
you know, blah, 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 blah. So I love playing those characters. I feel very at home in those characters. I, it's always been harder to me to ground myself in a villain that is really villainous because it just requires like you to draw from some some like internal insecurity and fear, which doesn't necessarily always feel nice when you're drawing from that. But recently, I've had a few villains where instead of leaning into that, I've just lent into the comedy of the villains and how ridiculous they can be.
Yeah.
So I just had a show come out with Ryan Vincent, Dorothy Main on Dreamy Short. And on that, I just decided to like make this villain as ridiculous as possible. I decided to make him like a totally submissive guy to Dorothy's character, who is my
Yeah. I've
villainess.
seen the first few episodes of that one. Yeah.
Yes. So I just decided to go right into that and to be like her little submissive, like handbag boyfriend. And that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But so I love leaning into the comedy of things. Obviously, with Pool Boy, I love leading into like the hopeless romance as well. So with Matrimony, Like and King, Pool Boy, in a way, I love leaning into that hopeless romantic archetype as well. Um, they're where I feel most at home as an
Yeah.
actor.
Oh,
Definitely.
that's good. That's good. Okay. Is there a moment during filming that has stood out especially meaningful to you?
Yeah. Oh, there's been a few. There's been a few. I mean, I think I think definitely on the set of Pool Boy, it felt really every day felt really meaningful because that was such a dream role. That was
Yeah,
something I had in my mind as something I wanted to do for so long. Um, you know, being from Australia, we don't have things like a prom. We
yeah,
don't have like a homecoming queen. We don't have the varsity jackets.
no,
So many elements of that show growing up in Australia and kind of looking over to American culture to live that out as that character who is American was such a dream come true. And then to have the kind of love story that I had always wanted in my high school years, that the kind of relationship they had is what I, fantasized about. So
yeah,
to, in a way, live that out through Aiden as that character, every day just felt like such a dream to me. And it felt like, wow, my dreams are coming true.
yeah,
And so that was very, very special. And then I think as well, it's always wonderful on set when you have like a moment of true connection and emotion with another actor. I think there's a scene in Lion King where Sabrina's character is really breaking down, and we just had this incredible moment of connection where I'm like holding her, and it just felt so real and visceral. And I think those moments stand out when you really break through.
yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's all about like the connection with the other
Yes.
actor. That
Yeah,
really,
chemistry is very important as well. Like, yeah, yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. How do you see the industry evolving when it comes to LGBT representation on screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've come so far already with shows like Heartstopper, Love
Yeah,
Victor, Red, White, and Royal Blue. I think we're seeing so many different types of relationships portrayed. I think, gosh, compared to 20 years ago, how different what we're seeing on our screen is now.
yeah,
And I think that's wonderful. And with the popularity of these shows too,
yeah,
it's showing people, um, you know, this is what love can be. This is what it can look like. And I think that's really amazing. And I think the verticals are now seeing that as well. Like at the start, there weren't those vertical stories, but now they're becoming much more popular, and
yeah,
they've got dedicated, passionate fan bases. So I'd love to see it continue to evolve in terms of showing more minorities as well, like
yes,
different sub elements of the culture of LGBT culture, just providing more voices and more uh, different types of voices as well with race as well. I think it's really
yeah,
important, especially with verticals. So I'd like to see it continue to evolve that way, but I think we're already doing such a good job. Like even with shows like Pool Boy and My Secret Agent Boyfriend, sometimes queer media can be very focused on the coming out phase
yes,
versus characters that are like lived in and owning their identity. And that's,
yeah,
I'll speak to personally what I really loved about Pool Boy. The central conflict in that was never about like the fact that they were gay, and they didn't have to have their
yeah.
coming out or their, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It was like, no, we
It
just
just
like,
is what it is. It's just a normal love story. Like,
it's a normal love story with normal
yeah,
barriers.
yeah,
Romeo
yeah,
and Juliet in a different context. So I think we have come so far as well, but I think there's still more that can be done. I'd love to see stories where it just happens to be incidental that the character's queer as well. Like, say we have a superhero movie where it's like it's kind of just not even mentioned. They like kiss their partner goodbye and then they go save the world.
yeah.
And so I
That'll
think
be
it's
good.
important to see queer people in positions of strength and power as well, and yeah, living their best life.
And I know you want to be Spider-Man, so maybe we need to do that.
Exactly. I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Okay.
I'm doing a lot of
What
training.
keeps, hey?
I've been doing lots of training for it.
Yep. Now you just need the suit. Okay. What keeps you inspired as an actor?
Just reading like great scripts and books and seeing great performances, honestly, just seeing art. Whenever I see another actor doing something incredible on screen or an amazing movie or show, or I'm like right now I'm reading the Throne of Glass series and I'm picturing how that could all come to life on screen. And that just keeps me so inspired and so excited because you just think,
Yeah.
wow, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
It's endless of the kind of stories we could tell. And, it just keeps me excited of the future. And honestly, this incredible community of people who are like watching the work and are engaging with it, that makes me really excited
Yeah.
because art can't exist in a vacuum. Entertainment and art, it can't be just like us making it. It has to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it needs an audience. That's the way it's always been. So it's like this really symbiotic relationship that we have between creator and viewer because ultimately the story doesn't live if you don't watch
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
so it's special, and that it keeps me really inspired when we hear from you guys and we hear that you're enjoying it, what you are enjoying, what you're not enjoying, because it's a collaborative relationship in a way. We, as an actor, I've never been the kind of actor that's like, I just want to make art. No, I
Mm.
want to make things that people enjoy. I want to make things that are entertaining and fun.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like I want people to feel butterflies and excitement and whoa, and that's inspiring to me. So yeah, it's really you guys. It's you guys. It's new work, and yeah, we're all just so appreciative of, as well of the support that you all give verticals because the vertical industry is happening because of the support that you're giving it.
Yeah. I mean, even I'm inspired by some of the fan pages that are around. Some
Yeah,
of them are fantastic, like some of the review people and things like
yeah,
that. I love reading some of the reviews.
yeah, yeah.
I try to avoid the ones I haven't seen, but
Oh, yes,
yeah.
because there's so much thought and detail and nuance put into it,
Yes.
and lovely to see your work thought of in ways that you hadn't thought of it.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting relationship for an actor because you can't think about reviews too much in the sense
Mm,
of because you don't want to let that, because inevitably sometimes you're going to get a bad one.
yeah.
And it's that relationship between like not taking it too personally and, not taking comments personally. You put yourself out there, you're very vulnerable. Every time you expose yourself, you're very vulnerable. Um, and it's that strength to keep going, even if you get something bad,
Yeah. I mean,
because
I've seen firsthand what can happen to you guys if you see a negative comment and it goes the wrong way. Um, so I think social media is a good thing in some ways, but at the same time, it's also a cautious platform.
yes.
You need to be careful and just like try, like you said, try not to take it in too deeply because that's just one person's opinion. And
Mm,
the majority of the good outweighs the bad.
yeah.
But I know that the one bad can stick with you. So,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I'd say to anyone listening is remember that everyone is just human beings and you never know what someone is going through and you don't know all the specifics that have led up to that. And so if everyone can just lead with kindness, I think be a lot better off as a society. And constructive criticism is
oh yeah,
great because if there are things that you can take as the actor or in the production, absolutely. But when it's personal, I think it's always better to lead with kindness and really consider if you have to say that.
yeah, I agree. I agree.